Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
Hello and welcome to Miguel and Holly Uncensored. This is our off-air podcast that we do 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We also have our Sunday sessions. Producer Kelvin?
Yes.
You're up Sunday, right?
I am.
Do you have any clue what it is?
I do this time.
Oh, look at that.
On a Wednesday?
On a Wednesday. Girl, I did it on Sunday.
Oh, wait, you already did it?
I know.
Wow. So what's the preview? What's it going to be?
Oh, okay. So I interviewed a friend that I just happened to be really interested in their life story. He went to the Marine Corps, was married to a woman, almost had a child.
Almost
had a child. They ended up breaking up. Well, I guess I'm giving you the whole story, but basically he has a really interesting story. He's now an online content creator and has definitely changed his life after his divorce. So yeah, I'm gonna get to know him a little bit. We have mutual friends, so it was a fun chat.
Can't wait for this one. Wow.
Yeah.
And when you say content creator,
Girl, you already know.
Do we?
Yes.
Oh.
We do.
We do.
well, you can check producer Kelvin's Sunday session this Sunday at
We need a little
noon.
more, but that's okay.
That's what you got to listen for.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
right here in
It's
this
not Miguel's
feed.
content.
No, no. We have a very special guest today. If you are from the Charlotte area, you may have seen him out and about on the scene back in the day, or if you are into the country world, you may have heard him, or you may have seen him on the screen. Let's welcome hometown boy, Mr. Brett Tomberlin. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. Pleasure to
Oh,
see you.
you're
Absolutely.
welcome. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Kelvin, that sounds like a pretty crazy story.
Yeah, Brett.
I feel like you needed.
there's a lot of open-ended to that.
Yeah.
Are you
so
not an online content creator as well, Brett?
I don't know if I'm the same type of online content creator.
Right.
Got it.
Now I don't know.
There's an audience for everybody.
There is an audience. For everybody.
That's the
So,
great thing about
Okay.
fame in 2025. You can be famous for anything.
anything.
Sure.
Yes.
Sometimes for stuff you don't want to be.
Right.
Right. Right, that is
Well,
accurate.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, so Brett, I wanted to start off with just to sort of set the scene for people that are getting familiar with you now. You have a new single out called Just Got Paid. You're also about to be in a huge movie that's debuting in theaters and on Netflix called House of Dynamite, directed by Catherine Bigelow from Dirty
Zero Dark
30
30.
fame.
0-30, yeah.
Thank you.
It's been a day of talking already.
It has been. Like, we've done a show, recorded stuff. So you've been all over the place, but I want to take it back. So when your publicist reached out to us and I saw that you were from here, and I went through your Instagram and I saw that some of my friends follow you and they're not super big country people. And so I was like, hey, how do you know Brett? And you actually worked with one of my friends at QC Poorhouse back in the day.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh my gosh, so this is truly a guy who has like had a dream, got out of Charlotte, and you're truly making it happen. So just tell us about like your upbringing here in Charlotte and like where this dream about being a singer and an actor came from.
Oh man, yeah. I grew up in Locust, North Carolina, about 30 minutes straight on Albemarle Road, and joined the Army at 17. And I was in the Army for just under 6 years. And when I went part-time at a certain point and moved back to Charlotte, so I was back and forth from here in the Fort Bragg area. And I got in school over at oh my gosh, what is it? CP.
Oh,
yeah.
I just talked to someone about this too. Oh my
you could
gosh.
tell how much of a scholar I was at that school. I was like, I was at went to school there. Had an apartment in South End.
Central Piedmont.
Central Piedmont Community College.
Yes,
That's what it is.
that's
That's
right.
what it is.
I just talked to someone who was going there just now.
I'm clearly a Harvard grad. I worked around the area, bartended, all that good stuff. But born and raised here my whole social life. I feel like, there's not a whole lot going on in Locust, North Carolina. Born and raised here, joined the Army. And then after I got back for a couple years, I moved to LA. and pursued acting. So I grew up in a music family, but my parents were in the gospel singing space. I grew up singing in church with them. So that's how I grew up around music. But you know, where I was from, it was kind of always like a pipe dream to think you could do it for a living. So I just kind of like put that in the back of my mind, you know, like put it to the back of my mind and joined the army, was going to do all that. And then I moved. And then there was one day where I'll never forget when I called my dad, because I was going to go be a pilot for American Airlines and you know, work in special operations and part-time. And I'll never forget the day where I called him and I was like, hey dad, so I'm not going to be an American Airlines pilot. I'm going to move to LA and be an actor. I pulled the phone back a little bit. He was like, oh, there wasn't any like yelling or anything. He was supportive, but he was basically like, you know, go shoot your shot, you know, But he was like, but if you got to promise me, and for a couple years things aren't going well, you know, you pull the plug. And I was like, well, we'll see about that. If you go in already planning to fail, it's probably not a good plan, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
The whole Denzel quote: if I'm gonna fall, I'm not gonna fall back on anything. I want to fall forward because I want to see what I'm gonna hit.
No, it's true. That's what I've always said about my radio career. I never had a backup plan. I was always like, it's either gonna do or die.
Yeah.
I mean,
Who knows?
You really can't go into it with the mentality of like, oh, I'll give it a shot and then I'm gonna quit on this date.
right.
It's like,
Right.
you can't go into it. You're already cooked if you do that. But moved to LA and I got out there. Moved out there with $200 and a Harley, like to my name, because I moved in the middle of COVID.
Oh my God. Where did you sleep? When people say that, when they're like,
Right.
I
A
just
friend's couch,
stuffed
a
my
friend's
car.
couch.
So did you like have that set up
So
before?
I had a buddy that was already living there, but he hadn't moved his vehicle out yet. So I rented a U-Haul trailer, one that was like 6 foot by 4 foot or whatever. And then we just put it on the back of his SUV and I stuffed my Harley, like a pillow, like a Tempur-Pedic pillow topper, and then like a bunch of my clothes, and moved to LA and slept on his couch for like the first 6 months.
Oh wow. My
and
goodness.
then ended up using my GI Bill from the military to get in school, and then started paying for acting, like directing acting school like that, and then started paying for my own like a private coach, and just got in class and just started learning how to I did not know anything about screen acting.
Now, Brett, I'm so like, to me, when people say that story, and it's, you know, usually when we hear this story, it's, you know, Julia Roberts or, you know, someone super famous, and they're like, I moved to LA with $20 in my checking account.
I was
To
waiting
me-
tables.
Right, waiting tables. I'm always curious about like that first weekend, like when you're in LA, you have been there for 2 or 3 days, sleeping on your friend's couch. Is there ever a moment when you're like, what the hell did I just do to my life?
First day, I pulled the Harley off the U-Haul. We went and returned the U-Haul trailer, and I remember driving to go to like get something to eat or go to the gas station, and I was just like driving. I was like looking around. I was like, my crazy ass just moved out. I was like, I don't know anything about this place. I was like, everything just, I didn't know any. I never like I visited like a couple times for doing some stuff with like a couple campaigns or whatever, but the area I was in, I knew nothing about. And I just realized, I was like, well, you did it. You know, like,
this is it.
All right, let's see it. You know,
What made you, before we move on, because I'm like super invested in this, but I want to pause because you're like, well, okay, so dad, I don't want to be an airline pilot. I want to be an actor. So like, what, had you always wanted to be an actor, or was it something that came up suddenly?
No.
Like, what made you decide to just jump to LA and do acting?
Right. I mean, it was one of those things to where I feel like when I was, so I went guard component for a little bit when after I came off active duty in the Army, and I was working with 20th Special Forces Group, and I was supporting them, as you know, I wasn't a tabbed Green Beret, but I was working with them, helping with the training process over at Fort Bragg, and while I was still in part-time, I went to LA and did a couple things because I had some friends that went out there to work, they're modeling, they're acting, whatever. And I went out and visited, and I did some stuff with like, just kind of like an activation, basically an excuse to be in LA for a couple weeks. It sounded fun.
Yeah.
And I did it a couple times, and every time that I went there, I feel like God just kept putting people in my life. Like I kept meeting people that like, a dude that's not in the industry, you're not just going to come across these people. I just kept meeting people. And I was like, all right, hold on. Like I was like, and I did everything, like every time I get around music or every time I get around like something entertainment based, like whether it be here or somewhere else, I just kept meeting people. And it was almost to the point where I had to like, I was like, I got to pay attention to this. I was like, what are this guy's trying to tell me something? Like, I was like, I wasn't in this mindset of moving to LA, but in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, that'd be cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then I just kept meeting people, and I just kept kind of getting signs. I feel like it wasn't like they were like offering me a record deal or something like that. It was just, I kept meeting people that I know it wasn't normal to keep running into people like this or like get invited this or stuff like that.
Interesting.
And I was just like, you know what? I'm only going to be 21 one time, and I was like, the
Such
military
great
will be there.
thinking.
The military will be there. Like,
Yeah.
I had perfect record. I could go back tomorrow if I wanted to, but I was like, this isn't going to be here. So I was like, for lack of a better word, we'll just shoot our shot and see where we go with it. But yeah, that's kind of, there was a point where it wasn't like I grew up, but like, I want to be an actor. Like, I literally just kind of like, when I moved out there, I was like, I fell in love with the possibility. And then when I got out there, I fell in love with the craft.
And what a way that you're listening to the universe, because so often we miss the signs that the universe is telling us to take the leap of faith.
Yeah.
Right.
And the fact that you were able to be like, wait a minute, something is happening here. The clouds are gathering.
Oh, Miguel loves to say the clouds are gathering.
That is always because you have to be able to be open to listen to the universe. And that's when I say, like before a storm comes, the clouds start gathering before something happens. And that's what was happening to you.
Right.
And you took that leap of faith.
Well, like the whole closed mouths don't get fed, or if you got your hand closed so tight, you can't accept the next thing. And it's kind of like, I was very thankful to be where I was at in the military. And I genuinely think I would have been happy, but I felt like God was trying to tell me that this is a chapter, but it's not the only chapter of the story. Like there's a lot more stuff, and you got to let this part go to get the rest of it,
Okay.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So anyway, so you're on your friend's couch.
Right.
You're like, what the hell did I just do?
Post it up.
So where does it go from there? How did you get to you now?
Yeah. So I started training, got with a couple different acting coaches, and as in the process of being out there, I started coming across people doing music for a living, and I was like, all right, hold on, you're doing this for a living? All right, you're doing this. I was like, this doesn't seem. Of course, it's incredibly hard. I never thought it looked easy, but I was like, this doesn't seem as unrealistic as everybody back home made it out to be, because you're clearly doing this and like you don't have a day job. Like, and then it's like, I was like, but when you get to see it with your own eyes, it's like, no, this is real. Like people are doing this for a living, and they didn't come from like, their parents aren't famous. You sure you get the Nepo babies, but there's like a lot of people out there doing it for a living that came from a similar situation to me that just decided to do it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's kind of where we were at with that. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start trying to get better at it. So I actually got in school, learned a bit of theory, and just started trying to like work vocally and try to work that muscle. Because just like anything, it's a muscle.
Yeah.
And just started trying to get better, like, and started the years of work, started getting better, like years of getting better at songwriting, just not knowing where I was starting, but just kind of like making noises until I turn into stuff, when it comes to melodies. And I just started working on it. And a couple years after that, started picking up guitar. And it was that kind of transition from acting to music kind of happened simultaneously. I feel like, because I didn't transition really. I'm doing both. Thankfully, both are going very well. And then a couple years into being there to auditioning and training, really, one of my first like real auditions, I would say, like as far as a bigger shot, came from an old stunt coordinator. I used to do football stunts for the show All American and stuff like that. And they said, hey, we got this company, the stunt company got the contract for this show. Do you have any actors, or do you have any athletes that are actual football players that are actors now? Because we don't want to teach actors how to run for an NFL show. And you would be surprised. You would be surprised. There's a lot of phenomenally talented actors that just physical stuff is just not their thing.
That's what I always
not their thing.
Can't do it.
I always tell my husband we're watching some sort of action movie, because I wanted to be an actor growing up.
Yeah.
And we'll be watching a movie, and I'm like, could you imagine if I were cast in like a Tom Cruise action movie, and then they were like, all right, you got to like karate kick.
I'm gonna be honest. If somebody told me to roundhouse kick somebody in the head, they would be like, all right, we're just gonna cut to the part where they fall.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I'm like, if I were in
I
like
would
the
train
show
for it, of course,
Reacher, and I'm like, I got a gun, I'm coming to get you, bitch. Like,
the scoop,
With his little hip out,
Were you Charlie's Angel?
with a little arch.
Coming to get you, bitch. What the fuck? Okay,
see
wait,
this?
wait.
You see this? You want this?
yeah,
Oh
see,
my
see,
God.
You gotta
It
show
looks
it to 'em. You
natural.
see it?
see, Brett, you all can tell you're already like suited for this. Not me.
I
I'm
was in the
suited.
army.
Yeah, exactly. I'm suited for like the Great British Baking Show.
Yes, I love that. Okay, moving on. Anyway,
Brett, I have a
Yes.
question for you. So you give me the vibe that like my biggest competition is me. You're not really worried about everybody else, but let's be honest, LA is full of a lot of people trying to have the same dream as you are.
Extremely saturated.
You've
Yeah.
yeah. So what is your advice, or what's something that you did to like kind of stand out, both not only in acting but also singing as well?
Man, I would say not comparing yourself to what other people think is the standard of good. I feel like, and I feel like a lot of times, like, oh yeah, but compared to you're doing great. It's like that's not what I've ever put on the scale for what I think is like the standard.
Mm.
Because if you're just doing good enough to everybody else, then you're literally just going to be another head in the crack. So it's like there's something like I feel like when it comes to it's 2025, right? If you're a one trick pony, you better be phenomenal at that one
better be a
trick.
great
I mean, you better be phenomenal. I mean, we're talking prodigy.
Yeah.
But if you're like most of us who are, we've got certain things that are God given, whatever, but they, you just really beat the craft until you get good enough to have a shot to do it for a living. You got to do it with a couple things and hit it from multiple angles. I feel like, so it's like, for me, people are like, oh, I get it. I once a week, like, oh yeah, but like which one? Acting, music, which one's the thing? And it's like, honestly, yeah, at a certain point, there will probably be one that takes a front seat, but I genuinely think it's a different age. It's a different age to where if you're not doing more than one thing, when that one thing is down, you don't have it. You always got to be doing something for people to watch, right?
Yeah,
because people, their attention span's short. And I think when you're trying to get people, when you're trying to get looks, when you're first starting off, I think it's one of those things to where it's like you always need to be advancing, moving forward, doing something that is making you better at your craft. Whether it's giving your brain a break from beating it on the acting craft and doing your creative outlet of music, or vice versa. But I think stage performance and acting are very, very close, because like the camera sees everything. And you guys know better than anything when you're doing podcasts, you're doing stuff or interviews. For me, I was looking at some of the stuff I've done this week on the news stuff. I was like, I can see every hour of sleep I've missed in the last 3 weeks in my eyes.
Look at our
But-
podcast on Mondays while I'm always like,
Yeah.
But it's same thing with the stage is, you've got however many people you have at that show up there looking directly at you, and they're there either because they heard about you or they came to hope to be entertained. And it's one of those things to where if you don't work on yourself in the downtime, there's no hiding behind those moments. There's no hiding on the camera, so for me, it's like what motivates me is, when you get there on the day and or if you feel like you're a little bit unprepared for something, for me, I don't forget those moments because they drive me to be, to stand out. Or if like you do an audition and casting, you don't even get a call back or anything like that. And it's like, maybe sometimes it's not anything to do with you. They had a different look in mind. But a lot of times it's like, even if you weren't the guy, if you do a really good job on the audition, you'll get a call back and at least get in the conversation because like he did a really good job though,
Right.
And it's like, for me, it's like, what can I do to at least know that I did my job? And I feel like when it comes to even same thing with meetings with music, stuff like that, it's like, at least get in the room, you know? And if you don't do enough to get in the room, sometimes it's not up to you and you can't beat yourself up. You gotta let it go after. But when you start getting a couple wins and you start seeing the difference, it's like, I know when I gave it, when I brought it versus when I did it halfway, and I see the results difference. So I just think in the downtime, no matter what we're doing, is like, are you really, if you killed it, if you put it in, if you put your work in, and if, at the end of the day you can walk away like, no, I know I crushed that. I'm not like avoiding anything. Then for me, I don't have to get anybody's approval from it. I know I did my job. But most of the time, somebody will tell you if you did your job. You know?
I bet.
Yeah.
Everybody's got
so
opinions
true.
there.
Yeah.
When did you feel like, Brett, that you were getting momentum in your career? What was that moment when you were like, okay, like things are finally clicking and I'm just waiting for like that next thing to happen?
And I think, well, first of all, when I got my first like legitimate job, I played Wes Welker in that Aaron Hernandez show on Hulu, American Sports Story.
Wait, hold on. What? Because I watched that. I love that series.
Miguel is a TV fanatic.
I am. So if you were in something, let me know. What was your name in that show?
Wes Welker, the Patriots receiver.
Miguel's
Hold on, you keep going.
Okay.
I'm like, wait a minute.
So that's where I was like, I had a reoccurring multiple episodes, you know, coming from not having any TV or film credits, you know, when it comes to anything network.
Yeah.
And then about I want to say it was less than a year after I ended up getting an audition for the Catherine Bigelow film, and did it. And a few days later, they hit my manager up and was like, "Hey, we'd love to have him for a callback." But I got that call when I did the audition in the States, and then I was in Germany at the time, on a trip, and they were like, "Hey, you got a callback," and they're like, "Can you do it at 9 a.m.?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I had to figure out the time. So obviously time difference, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget being in where were we at? We were like Frankfurt, I think. And I was there with my best friend, and I'll never forget him standing on a chair, holding back curtains to get some light. And we had two chairs stacked on top of each other, my laptop on top of that, and then like this casting director, and he's like holding back light, and he's holding his phone light right here, holding the curtains back. And
oh my gosh.
And we're just trying to get some light, you know, because it was like the apartment time of day and everything. And did the callback. And before we got done with the callback, she asked if I was okay with being an extra, and I was like, "That's a horrible thing to do to an actor." And I like, I don't know if she was just like, I gotta ask all these questions, you know, like this is just part of stuff we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. I was like, that's why I was like, oh, thank you for the opportunity, but I'm auditioning for a speaking role, you know, like we're putting everything into this career to get speaking roles, you know?
Yeah.
And because they were asking if real veterans would be, you know, come in because they would look the part, you know, stuff like that. And I was like, thank you, but no. And then they're like, okay, cool, we'll be in touch. And then like she goes, oh, by the way, casting wanted you, the casting director wanted you to call her after. I was like, okay. And then she asked me, hey, do you still have your uniform? And I was like, okay, this is like, all right, they're going to put me as an extra. And I just totally crushed my confidence. But they're like, I'm not saying that you're going to be an extra. we just got to ask this. And I was like, okay, right. And I was just kind of like, all right, kind of deflated a little bit. She said she liked it. Went through the trip, didn't hear anything for like the rest of the week. And I was like, well, it is what it is. All right, moving on. I get back, I'm at Trader Joe's the day after I get back. I just got a workout in, went to Trader Joe's. I was like at the eggs, and I had a basket, and my phone buzzed. I looked down, and it's an email said, "Congratulations, we'd like to offer you the role." And I like literally put my basket down right there and walked straight out of that. I called my mom. I called my best friend, and I was like, "Dude," and he was like, "You're out of breath right now. You tried to work out, or you just got to roll." And I was like, I got it. And I remember just like putting my arms up on the sidewalk, like, cause that was my first like film, you know,
yes, that's
feature,
a
like
huge
first
deal.
feature film. And it was with a director, an Oscar-winning director.
Right.
That's
and
amazing.
That was we did it, Joe.
Yeah.
I literally, I was just like, I remember just like taking a deep breath and like kind of just like looking around on the street at that time and being like, this is, I was celebrating like I got the lead of Dune, you know, but it was like 3 lines. It was like 3 lines. But to me, it was like, all these people that told me I was crazy, you know, like we finally got our foot in the door and we're gonna do something with it.
Yeah.
It's nothing like it.
And you know, I treated it with the same energy as if I was coming in with the lead, and I got on set. And I had like 3 lines. I got on set, and second day hit it off with Rebecca Ferguson, one of the leads in the film. She was from Dune, Mission
So I was
Impossible.
gonna say, speaking of Dune, like,
Yeah.
she's massive.
And just completely creatively, kind of like, you know, like improv stuff like that. We just had a thing, and then we started cracking up in between takes. Like you would have had to separate us if we were in school. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and we were like cracking up, having a good time. Just an amazing human, and just started hitting it off. And then like Catherine started noticing it, and like another actor, Jason Clark, he was in Zero Dark 30. He was in that container scene where he interrogated the guy. And he started noticing it and started feeding into it. And I got a character name. I got my name added to the script. I got added to scenes. I got more lines, and it just kept growing. And then it turned into me being really good friends with a couple of the lead cast, and went to London and visited them.
And I would just like to point out for perspective, because I love hearing people's stories from the beginning to like where they are now in the process. And think about this. A few years ago, you were working at Queen Park Social. Now you are calling the Oscar-winning director, Catherine Bigelow. Well, yeah, Catherine saw our, like,
Rebecca Ferguson and I were like buddies.
Yeah, like we were just texting the other day. Like, that's amazing.
It's crazy.
It never stops sounding fake.
Yeah.
You know, like, just so you know, like it doesn't. It like I have to. I'm not gonna first and last name somebody in the middle of every conversation. But when you do say it quick, it's always funny when somebody calls you. I'm like, oh yeah, Catherine. Rebecca was saying this. It's
like, oh yeah, you know, Meryl and I are gonna go to coffee next week. It's gonna be so great.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. But that's such a cool moment of when you are like, all right, because I feel like that's how the ball starts rolling when you hear about so many people's stories in Hollywood when it comes to music or acting, and how they sort of break through is by having those moments, by also you saying during the audition process, I don't want to be an extra. And you let that be known. And if you didn't put that out into the universe, you could have just been, you know, sniper number 3.
Yeah. A lot of people will talk themselves out of an opportunity, you know what I'm saying? Or like if you don't stick to your guns on it, for lack of a better word, you know, there's times where you can just, you know, like literally if I don't know. You just really got to stick to what you want. And like you said, you know, if you put it out that you're okay with failing, you know, then, you know, maybe you're not the right person for the job. I don't know what their decision process was. I don't know what the criteria was to be selected. The whole meme. But I'm just very thankful for how it worked out. And then about a month after we filmed that project, I booked a Taylor Sheridan show.
Which one?
It's with Michelle Pfeiffer and Kurt Russell. It's called The Madison.
Oh, I love his
Montana.
shows.
And we shot that in Montana. And I played Chad Michaels. He's a delightful oil money kind of. He's a douche. But it was a lot of fun. Did some stunt driving. Worked with some really awesome stunt doubles. It was so funny when you get to like a level where you're working in certain level of shows and movies, it becomes a very small community. You know, and like everybody at least knows somebody on set that just came off of somebody else, stuff like that. So we get there, and my stunt double for the day, he was like, "Oh yeah, no, we'll just do this. I did this for Mark last week." And I was like, I don't know, Mark. He's like, "Oh, Wahlberg." I was like, "Oh, yeah.
You know Mark,
Mark. Oh, Marky
He's
Mark.
so crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
the thing Mark always does. Yeah, you know. And that was like a moment where I was like, "What am I doing?" I was like, "Do they know? I don't
like, should I be here?
I was like,
do they have the wrong Brett?"
I was like, "I'm gonna keep faking it."
Yes.
You know, but
Well,
we're like, we get there early. I mean, Montana, gorgeous. It was like November, so there's like snow on the mountains, but there's like, you know, snow here every once in a, like here and there, but it's not like, you know, you're trudging through it. We get there, we get to the rehearsal site, and we're practicing on an airfield. like swerving, like having like stunt cars come toward us, and we're practicing the thing on the airfield, and like the plane will come in, coming in at 0, and we're like gonna pull over, and like let the plane land. We get back. It was crazy.
Wow.
And that's where we practiced. Then we went out to Jefferson County Fairgrounds, near where they filmed some stuff for Yellowstone, and filmed out there. And that was the fact that work for a week was driving through some of the most beautiful country I've ever seen. Like, and just like I saw the Northern Lights for the first time.
Oh my gosh.
Which was like, that was like I didn't think I was going to do this until I went to wherever you usually see the Northern Lights.
Right.
But I was like, what is that? I was like, is there a town? There's nothing out here. And they're like, no, that's the Northern Lights. And I was like, oh yeah.
I didn't even know you could see it from Montana.
It was very faint. It wasn't like this bright, wavy thing. It was like kind of like a faint, kind of like greenish glow. And be like, no, those are Northern Lights. And I was like, oh wow.
That's amazing.
It's dope.
Yeah.
What is it like working with someone like Taylor Sheridan? And if you're not sure, like the behind the scenes stuff for you listening, this is like the guy that created like Yellowstone and Landman, 1923, one of my favorite shows, Linus. So he's
incredible.
A prolific writer and director. So what's it like working with him? Because in all the sort of behind the scenes podcasts I listen to about Hollywood, this man basically has a blank check to do whatever he wants.
He's got the Midas touch right now.
Yeah. Sure. So what's it like working with someone so prolific?
I would say you notice an immediate difference on set when you get on a set from somebody for somebody's set that's like, we're crushing it right now. The best at their job are on these sets, and there isn't like, I feel like there's a comfortability of like, hey, we all worked hard to get here. If we were selected to be here, there's no like, oh, let me flex off on you. This is like, we're all here to do our job. We're good at our job if we're here. Now let's make the best product possible. Everybody from hair and makeup to PAs to the chefs that are there, like cooking out there, to the actors, to the directors, to the producers. Everybody knows they're good at their job. And there's a lot less like, let me step on you to like look good. And it was just, it was a pleasure. It was honestly, there was the serious difference between other sets I've been on, I will not name. But there's a difference. There is a difference. And there's been incredible people on every set that I've been on, every single one. There's the level of dedication it takes to get to where you're working at a network level is undeniable.
Yeah.
But I will say, when you're on sets I've had the pleasure of like the first 3 projects that I've done was Ryan Murphy, Catherine Bigelow, Taylor Sheridan. So
what a start to your career.
You're doing okay.
Whether I had, 3 seconds or, 30 minutes, it is neither here nor there to me. It's just an honor to be a part of, really good work. And just like, and to learn just from people that are just such a high level at their craft,
Well, that's what I was gonna say. You're around all of these really high level people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're surrounding yourself with greatness. And so you just rise.
Man, it's a pleasure to like, when you get on set, because every time you get on set, you're learning, I would say no matter what level movie you're in, you're learning how to make, how the sausage is made, how everything's done. But when you get to see it from people that are at the top of their craft, it's like, and then you get to see that they still treat people well. They still are a human. They don't think they're larger than life. And it's like, oh, this is so encouraging, that like, it's like, you don't have to give up one to be the other, you know? And it's amazing to see people who are at the top of their craft and they're also just like, oh, that's an incredible person. It's like you don't have to give yourself the excuse to just be a total jerk, just because you made it,
Right.
Who do you think, who you've worked with in the past 3 projects, has been like the most sort of hospitable, welcoming, sort of, open up their arms and say, hey, we know you're new to the industry. Let me show you the rope. Who's been the most helpful?
I would say, outside of my team, I'm very thankful for them that they gave me an opportunity when I didn't have anything. Rebecca Ferguson was an incredible human. She sent emails that she did not have to send to people that basically just co-sign on me, basically like gave me the blessing. And just said, hey, he's a friend now, and he did incredible work, you know. But it was just like she reached back when she didn't have to, and just like let me know that I wasn't crazy, that I was on to something, and just like try to just open a door and just open communication. And she like literally she's Swedish and British, and she sent me, like, we just got done filming like the next day on set. Like I didn't even know she knew it was my birthday. I didn't tell her it was my birthday. And I get a voice message on WhatsApp of her singing happy birthday to me in Swedish. And just she's just that type of person. She's just that type of person. And that was like the most encouraging I feel like I was. Most encouraged I feel like I was, you know, in my early start, was just like, all right, you know, like when it matters when you reach back and do stuff like that for people.
It's so important,
you know.
It
Brett,
is.
Yeah.
Who was the worst?
No.
Oh, no.
Listen, I would be doing my job if I didn't ask.
I've been in this just long enough to know that
We
don't
don't
take
do
the
all
bait.
that. Don't do it.
Smart. Consider us your media training.
No.
Oh my God.
Listen, it's always our job to ask, and then it's your job to protect your career and say
this here. Do with it what you will.
Exactly.
You can leave it. You can get right back to me.
Exactly. Well, Brett, I am curious though, as you are starting to make your way into the world with your music and your acting, and you're not sleeping on people's couches anymore.
Thankfully. Yeah.
What was the sort of first purchase you made when you were like, all right, I got a couple of bucks now. I need something to say, look how far we've made it. What was that purchase?
Oh man. That's a good question. Honestly, most of it has went right back into my career, to be honest. I haven't had a big purchase that's for like a toy, I would say. Pretty much everything has went right back in, because when you have the pleasure of pursuing 2 careers from scratch with no money, when you get success in one, for me, I saw it as an opportunity to get the other one, bring the other one up, you know. So I invested in a lot of and more training, and you know, and equipment for music, you know, like on stage in-ears, stuff like that like it's expensive. Like the buy-in is just insane. And when like everything is like, oh, it's just 1,000 here, 800. It's like, and it's not just 1,000 to somebody that's, you know, it's like, that's a huge deal, but it's like, then you got to do it again and again and this and this and the, you know, and it's just like, so for me, it was like, I kind of got a breath. I will say this. I paid my credit cards off that I had, you know,
that's a big deal.
I did do that. I did do that.
Big deal.
Right.
And I'll never forget. So when I was training for the Wes Welker role, I didn't drink for like 2 months before. And when we wrapped, I went into Manhattan, because we filmed in Jersey, right outside Jersey, right outside Jersey City and stuff. And I got to train into Manhattan, and I got the coldest beer I could find. and I remember having that first beer in like 2 months, and just like this big goofy grin on my face. And
you're like, yes.
Made it.
Oh, that is so awesome, Brett. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us. We're so excited to see how your career is about to just explode.
I know, because I mean, we didn't really talk about the music side of it, but like you're out here promoting a new single.
Yes. I'll hit that real quick. So yeah, it's called Just Got Paid. It's kind of like a 90s country ode to everything. I mean, most of my music, it sits in the 90s style, but I'm thankful that I feel like it is coming back to it. Most of the stuff we have that we haven't put out yet is along those lines. So the fact that country is going back to its roots lately, I really like. Whether you like country music or not, I feel like this kind of like the classic musicianship is coming back to where that's like, it's really, you get some really talented players. So very thankful for the guys I had on the track. And we have shows coming up here in Charlotte, November 21st and 22nd. I'll be back playing Nicky O's and the Rose back to back.
Okay.
But yeah, so hopefully we're waiting on some announcements, some confirmations, but hopefully we're looking at a couple bigger shows next year. So we're thankful. Hopefully we're getting on an opening slot, or you know, playing a couple places next year. So
so when will we be hearing about some of these opening engagements you hopefully will be playing?
We will see, but there is a There's a cool festival in California that they do every year.
Oh,
I don't know which one, but
one of them.
yeah,
One of them.
they're we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
He got some things percolating.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love it. And then
Um,
you'll also be able to see Brett in House of Dynamite. It's in theaters October 10th and streaming on Netflix October 24th. I've been hearing a lot about this movie for the past couple of months and how people are saying it could be an Oscar contender.
Well, yeah, it is doing a qualifying release to be qualified by the Academy to be Oscar nominated. That's why it's coming out in theaters before Netflix.
Wow.
So it debuted in the Venice Film Festival in Italy, alongside in the same block as The Rock's film Smashing Machine, and a couple other really, really great films as well. But it's been getting some of the people that I've seen commenting are like, this film rocked. I'm just like, he said that about when I was in, it's
like I was a part of it.
So
Yes.
I mean, even a small part, it's like, it really is like, it really does feel cool to be a part of something that's like, a lot of people just did such a high level of work in every department, in camera department, and producing in the set building. I mean, we rebuilt the bottom 2 floors of the White House inside of a soundstage.
That's
And
incredible.
you're like walking around, like I'm working the White House war room in this, and it's just like you're seeing like this set, like, and you're just like this. There's like representatives on site from the White House. Obviously, they can't break certain secret clearance stuff, but they're like, this is pretty much it.
That's
like,
crazy.
So it's like I've gotten to like see parts of like, because they built it like, I mean, exact replicas almost of everything.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like I got to go to the White House without going to the White House.
Right.
Like, it was so crazy.
Oh, well, we're excited to see you on the big screen, to
Mhm.
listen to your music. And how can people find you on social media, Brett?
Social media is going to be Brett_Tomberlin on all TikTok, Instagram, and my website is bretttomberlin.com.
Well, thank you, Brett. We appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Miguel and Holly Uncensored.